You think you need a passport to travel the world? Well, not here in D.C.
We're taking you on a new adventure through ambassadors' residences and embassies all throughout our new hometown of Washington, D.C.
We're talking about geopolitics, travel, sports, and trade, and everything in between.
And why not? Because it's America's 250th birthday. Welcome to World of Travel, Embassy Row. Sébastien, let's start with America 250. I see this beautiful sign that you guys have. Obviously, France is celebrating alongside America 250 years of existence. It's a big time and year for us. Tell us about that cooperation and how you guys are celebrating as our ally and partner.
America 250 is very important for us. It's not just 250 years of existence for the US. It's 250 years of friendship and alliance between France and the US. You know, history, Lafayette's help to the United States for the independence. So it's very important for us to celebrate also the alliance between France and the US. And we're organizing a lot of events. We seize the opportunity. For instance, we launched our programmation with a big event with Ken Burns at the French Embassy, with the screening of his documentary on the American Revolution. And we organize also a debate on France's role in the American Revolution. We are organizing also the French Patrouille de France, the French aerobatic team will come to the US. We'll do flyover in New York, in Washington, on Yorktown as well. We will organize also a big event with the French Mint. They will release a special coin with Lafayette and Washington. So we're organizing a lot of different events for that.
Yeah, my question, I was doing research on the embassy. It's my first embassy I've ever been to. And I saw the event you guys did with Lafayette. Can you tell me more about how that came to be, or what type of event that is, or type of party, more about the Lafayette?
About Lafayette. Last year, we were commemorating the 200th anniversary of the second trip of Lafayette to the US. Actually, everybody knows that he took part in the American Revolution and played an important role in Yorktown, for instance. But many people don't know that he came back at the beginning of the 19th century, in 1825, 1824, 1825. And that's a very important moment where the United States was really divided, with lots of polarization, and Lafayette came and traveled in all the different states of the US of that time, so more states than during the first trip. And he was acclaimed everywhere. He built a connection with many different people, and that's when the US named lots of towns and places after Lafayette's name. And that was very important in the way people still remembered Lafayette afterwards. So Lafayette is an important figure for us. He's much more known, to be frank with you, in the US than in France. People know him in France, but you know, he was not on the side of all the revolutionaries, the more extremist revolutionaries. He was not also with the monarchists. He was between the two. So in France, there are lots of people who don't know where to put him, you know, in history. In the US, it's exactly the contrary. He's a uniting figure. So he's a very important figure for us in terms of public diplomacy.
Well, the name Lafayette means a lot to me. My mom was born right outside of Lafayette, Louisiana.
Oh, yes, yes.
And the best food in Louisiana.
There are people who think that the city of Lafayette is the origin of Lafayette, because people sometimes know Lafayette as the name of a town, but don't know history.
Right.
So it's funny the way things are written sometimes. But Lafayette in Louisiana is an important place for us as well, because there are lots of French-speaking people.
100%.
So I don't know if you speak French, but we could
I
try.
speak broken French.
Okay. But the Cajun history, I know you come from this place, is a very interesting one for us, because also of the history of Canada, but also because of the Caribbean flavor of Louisiana. Don't forget the overseas territories, and don't forget Martinique and Guadeloupe, and this is part of France. And because Louisiana has Caribbean ties, and many people came from the Caribbean and settled in Louisiana later.
Yeah, it's in the culture, it's in the people. Like it's like one thing that mirrors Louisiana is the Caribbean. That people always say. It's actually they say I forget the last island in the Caribbean, but they say it's not the last island. The last island is Louisiana.
Oh yeah, right. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's so much that we take from French culture, the things that are easy to identify, pop culture, fashion. We have Paris Fashion Week. Am I saying baguettes? Baguettes? What's the best way to say it?
It's okay, baguette.
Baguettes?
Yeah,
Okay,
you say it
I
well.
ate a million of those when I studied abroad in London. We would go to Paris if we could, because it was an inexpensive flight.
Yeah.
So tell us about what cultures and what cultural traditions that France really wants people to learn and experience from visiting France.
So baguette is very important.
Yes,
it's an important
and
symbol and delicious. We sell in France 300 baguettes every second. Wow. So it's hard to imagine a day without a baguette in France.
What?
Here we get used to it, unfortunately. But so it's an important symbol. But yeah, you were talking about traditions. I would say in France, tradition and modernity go hand in hand. If you take, for instance, Notre Dame, the Notre Dame story, the renovation, the restoration of Notre Dame, it's an amazing story. It was done exactly the way it was done in the Middle Ages. So they found the wood, they used the same type of craftsmanship. They use the right material of that time, but at the same time, they use very modern techniques. They use drones to assess the damage after the fire. They scanned the different pieces. They did a scientific survey to understand which part was at which place in the church. So it was an incredibly modern work with ancient materials so the two really go hand in hand.
Are there places that you want, or that France as a country wants people to explore, even though there are the staples? Obviously, if you've never been to France, you got to check out the Eiffel Tower. Yeah. We did a whole episode about Paris and how the Eiffel Tower was a little bit of a fight back and forth about the way it appeared at first, and there was a little bit of controversy. But outside of that, are there places that you guys want to share more about and tell people to go explore, like Avignon and other places like Nice that we had a chance to take a look at as well?
Yeah. If my buddy wouldn't have been French, I would have never known about this place. And I'm like, wow, like I was blown away.
Exactly. I mean, in France, many people go to Paris, Versailles, and those different places. Nice, Americans know Nice sometimes better than French people, because, Nice is probably the farthest place from Paris in France. So, but actually, the specificity of France is if you go in any place, any region, any part of the territory, you will discover amazing things. You will have incredible surprises. And people don't know that. They just go to places that are mentioned in the guidebook. But I really encourage you and the people who maybe watch us now to go every year to a different part of France. We have, for instance, 13 regions. Every year in a different part, and look for places, but without knowing where they go. Just driving in the countryside, and they will discover incredible places. We have also a list, of 170 most beautiful villages of France. They are everywhere on the territory. Usually, people don't go to visit them, but they just drive and they bump into the village and they visit it. they are wonderful. And in every place, we have also this culture, we call it terroir, this obsession for the terroir. The terroir is, by the way, it's the name we give to our restaurant at the French Embassy. It means the place where you eat, where you live, the place where the product you consume are coming from, the place the wine you drink is coming from. So this culture of terroir is very important, and it's interesting because it's a very old French tradition. For instance, you are in Savoie, in the Alps, you will drink wine from Savoie, and you will eat products from Savoie, and the two will really match. And this looks very traditional, very ancient, but it's very modern, because actually you don't have to ship things from the other part of the world. So in terms of environment, it's much better. It's healthy, despite the fact that some people will say, oh, the food from Savoie is a bit fat, but it's healthy. And it's very local. So it's very modern in this way, because of the supply chains. Everybody is talking now about supply chains, agriculture, sovereignty, food sovereignty. We have it in our traditions.
I learned a lot about like champagne. You can't call it champagne if it's from a certain part of France, right?
Exactly.
Cognac is another part. So much as just from exploring, we haven't even done an episode about all the variety of regions that great libations come from. But France has a lot to be proud of when it comes to that space as well. Can you talk a little bit about that and the whole culture of that, and why the regions take so seriously what they create and develop?
Yeah, it's very old. It dates back to the Middle Ages. And every region has its own wine, for instance. So some are more proud of their wine than others. But it's very interesting, for instance, to compare Burgundy, and Bordeaux. You have two different cultures of wine, for instance. Burgundy is, you have a wine which is very local, very natural. This culture du terroir I spoke about. Bordeaux has been a place that has exported its wine all around the world. Right. Everybody knows the Bordeaux wine. The people who developed wine in South Africa, in California, came from Bordeaux originally. Wow. Actually, some people say, they might be right, that the people who developed the wine in Bordeaux came from the UK, from Britain. I don't know. But it's more, the Bordeaux wine has been a bit more technical. So it's another culture. People who like really this culture, very French culture, and who like to discover wines that people don't know will go to Burgundy sometimes. But the most famous sometimes come from Bordeaux because they're known all around the world. So you have different cultures of food and wine.
We went to a conference at BIPCOM in Cannes, and they have you're not expected, but there are restaurants right on the strip by the film festival where it takes place, and lots of people are having an Aperol Spritz at one, enjoying the view, and then going back to their meetings for 3:00. And not that it's promoted, but it just is not frowned upon because everyone who was at the executives at the meetings kind of just seemed like that was part of the culture. And the whole Aperol Spritz idea, I think about south of France, if we're going to have one. That's where would you have one? So what do you think about, I guess that's what you're saying, about that kind of culture that seeme's more...
It's like
in moderation, almost. Like just if you're gonna have a glass.
It's like let your hair down. It's okay. Let's have a drink.
Yeah, I mean things are sometimes changing. People, when they want to work a lot in the afternoon, they might find it more difficult to have 2 or 3 glasses of wine. One will be enough, and maybe no glass sometimes because they have lots of work. But we have this culture. Usually, wine is really associated with pleasure, with conversation, with parties, especially champagne, which is really the festive, wine. But we can. It depends. I think people will have more wine for lunch on Friday than the rest of the week. So it will depend. But it's really part of our culture. Yeah, it's very important. Then regarding the meal at €1, the interesting thing is that the meal for us is very much part of our culture. And we consider it, especially for kids and students, as very important. Because you know this proverb, mens sana in corpore sano, a healthy mind in a healthy body. We think that kids will learn better if they are properly fed. And it's not just a question of, having a real meal. You know that the French gastronomic meal is now part of the cultural UNESCO heritage. Why? It's not just culture. It's very important. It's taking time for eating at certain times in the day is very important in terms of health, and also for the brains. So for the kids, it's very important. Now I was a bit surprised at school when I had to ask my kids to bring the lunchbox without anybody really checking if he's eating the lunchbox. We try to put with my very healthy food in the lunchbox, but and sometimes they don't have time. Time is very important as well. They just have 25 minutes. In France, in French school, you will have always at least 1 hour for lunch. And it's considered very important. And this French meal is not only health, it's also a very important part of our social life, to have a conversation, you and me. Because when you have lunch with people, you are in front of each other, you take time to have conversations. No topic has to be avoided. It's, the path to dialogue, the meal. So it's, it carries a very important meaning for everybody. And that's also part of freedom of speech. We speak about everything, we debate about everything in France. Sometimes we fight, but we like, to discuss, to dialogue with people who think another way. And that's also ancient, that's traditional in France, but that's also very modern, very important for the future. Because we see this world which is very much polarized. So we need to be able and to keep our kids able to talk to each other, even if people think differently. That's so important.
100%. I was listening to you talk. A lot of times, literally tell you, I get hangry. I don't make rational thoughts on an empty stomach.
I got hungry when we talked about baguette because I missed them so much.
Right. And kids probably can't make their best decisions or learn if they're thinking about their next meal. So, cheers to you guys. And if people have different things that they don't agree on, one thing we can agree on is a great meal, and the food is good. Yeah. And so that brings us to the table.
Exactly.
I want to move on to a bit lighter topics. Mm-hmm. For me, I want to ask you guys about the World Cup. How excited are you guys? What plans do you have for watching, for viewing? Are you going to go up and down the East Coast to watch every game? Well, you're leaving here in a few, but are any of your colleagues going to go to any of the games? And how excited are you guys to watch? Mbappé, right?
Sorry?
Mbappé.
Mbappé, yes.
Mbappé, yeah.
Mbappé, yeah. Mbappé is a real star. Mm-hmm. We organized a few weeks ago, there was a training of the French team in DC. And we had the kids from the French school, the Rochambeau school, who went there. I was with them, and we saw the French team. It was very, very exciting. Mm-hmm. And it was a great experience. There will be, of course, coming back, and we'll have a number of matches. We might organize watch parties, but it's still not unclear which ones we will choose. I'm not an expert in football, but my friends tell me we have the best ever team. So let's see. We could be tempted if we are very confident to reserve the watch parties for the semi-final and final. Yeah. But maybe it would be too bold. I think we'll organize things, but we are still considering the program we organize. But the sport it's a key issue in terms of U.S.-French relationship. It's an important part of diplomacy now. We have lots of things to do together in terms of sport. Probably that we have Wembanyama playing for the Spurs, San Antonio. Yes. He's just incredible.
Yes.
We have Léon Marchand, the swimmer who won I don't know how many medals and gold medals at the Olympics. It's just crazy. He's now training in Texas. So sport is great, and we had the Olympics in Paris. Now we'll have the Olympics in LA. So no, that's a very important topic, and that's also a topic which is important to show how much our relationship is, of course, based on the past, but also looking towards the future, towards the youth. That's very important.
Yeah, the Wembanyama, I mean, he's going to be the best player in the NBA. He's going to be one of the world's best athletes.
Yeah, I think so.
And just the fact that he's in San Antonio and that relationship is already there with Tony Parker, and then him coming behind him, I just think it's a beautiful thing for France. And it shows how far France has come in the basketball community. Yes. With having one of the, you guys went to the finals during the Olympics, and then you guys having like the best athlete in the world. I just, I'm really excited to see what he does, and I'm excited for you guys to, lead the world, because he's going to be the best player for the next 10, 15
He was
years.
talking about this all last night. Like, I can't wait to ask him about this, because how does it feel for a player from France to be dominating a U.S. thing?
Like pride.
What does that feel like?
I mean, it's universal. Sport is universal. So we are very happy that, Lafayette became known in the U.S. in some way. So sometimes we are very, sometimes France is very good at creating talents. Sometimes the U.S. is also very good at, I would say, promoting those talents. So that's what's happening now. And we were talking about sport, but sport also is linked to, for instance, space cooperation. We have a strong space cooperation. You may know about Sophia Adno, a French space, spacewoman, spaceonaut, who went to the ISS last February, and during a mission organized by a U.S. company, by SpaceX, if I'm not mistaken. And so this cooperation, and it also involves lots of sport. She got trained here. I mean, space is also kind of a sport. Huh?
Talking about how the cultures blend, obviously New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week are huge. How would you describe, Paris Fashion Week sets trends for global influence for, if not years, months at least, and really tells us what to look forward to. How do you describe the French fashion?
French fashion is very important. It's also a tradition in some way. I think, some people consider clothing, an outfit as an object of consumption. France and French people consider that as a reflection of their personality. So that's why I think French people are so much attached to style and clothing, and it's amazing to see also this evolving with the time. So trends are important, but in some way the French fashion lasts forever. We like, in France we're attached to history, and we want things to be sustainable and timeless, exactly. So the French style and the French fashion in some way is timeless. You can witness it, for instance, now there is an exhibition in New York organized by the Comité Colbert, which gathers the best French fashion brands. And they're organizing an exhibition, and you have incredible items in this exhibition. For instance, you have the coat, the pink coat, that was given to Jacqueline Kennedy during her first state visit to France, and that was designed by Givenchy. So I recommend you visit this incredible exhibition. There are lots of things like that shows how much things last, because this coat, could be, you could wear it tomorrow. It's amazing.
Stands the test of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like the French buildings, the French castles, the French old villages. It's stone. It's done to last.
Right. Yeah, that's how I felt. I was just taken aback my first time going to Paris, and this was my first time even thinking of the word. I was calling it an open air museum, like the bridges. The artwork on the bridges, you could see everything was taken with care.
Yeah.
It's almost like cooking a great meal. When you cook a great meal, you have to take your time. Fresh herbs, fresh vegetables, fresh meat, fresh all, everything. And you really you have to pay attention to detail. And that's one thing you guys are doing, and doing at a high level, is paying attention to detail. And Notre Dame is definitely
It's why sometimes people say, French people like, we don't like fast fashion. That's true. We prefer things that last. We like slow travel, but only we like also fast travel. Travel is an interesting topic. We like to go hiking, to take time in cafes also, to discover the landscape. But at the same time, we have probably the speediest trains in the world with the TGV.
Right.
So fast travel and slow travel are not opposite to each other. I would say that the TGVs allows us to gain time and to use that time for great times with people going hiking and things like that.
I'm glad you brought up slow travel. So I don't know if that's like a normal term, but I had to look up slow travel last night. I didn't know about slow travel, that it means taking trains and automobiles instead of planes. What do you guys want from us when we come to places like France to be great travelers or to take care of the land? Would you guys rather us not take the planes? Would you rather us drive? Would you rather us take the train? How can we be better tourists in France?
I think you are a good tourist. Okay. But taking the plane inside France makes no sense for us. You can go from Paris to Brest, so the far west of Brittany, in a bit more than 3 hours with the TGV. So you don't need plane. I mean, if you take the plane, it will be longer. It will take more time, actually. Train is great because it's not fuel. It's our energy, 70% of the energy, the French energy, comes from nuclear plants. Wow. So it's not renewable energy, but it's also clean energy. So traveling with trains, going hiking in the countryside, I think it's a great way to travel in France. Then take your time. That's important. Don't visit only Paris and Nice, but go to places where nobody, recommended the visit. Places randomly. You take points on the map and you go there, and you will find incredible things. Then what else? I don't know. Enjoy the French wine. I think that's what you're doing when you go to France.
It's not at 1 o'clock. We went to St. Martin, which is
we went to St. Martin.
Oh, yeah, exactly. St. Martin.
Dutch and French.
Yeah.
And we noticed, and we loved the whole thing. But when we went to the French side, it was, again, like we had dinner. But even the quality, remember the castle that was still standing on the French side that we had dinner in? It was made of it, and it was the castle was, it was like built out of cobblestone, and it was a slave property, and then the owner had given the slave ownership into it. And
yes, that was nice.
The walls were still standing of this building. We talk about quality.
Yeah.
And you talk about confronting the past head on to learn that story about the French owner of the property that then named the restaurant after a former slave who was the descendant of this family that he wanted to have equity. And then the restaurant is now named after it. It was just this dynamic story that we learned while we were there that I found very fascinating, that speaks to a lot of the conversation that we've been having. I know we have to go soon, but I wanted to ask you, because World of Travel viewers, some of them have or have not been to France. What are some experiences, or even if there's one experience that captures the essence of France, that it's like, okay, maybe people know you should go to Paris, dress up and go see the Eiffel Tower, but something less obvious that really is what you would recommend to check out, even for that slow living or the true essence of France? As
a local, like if I brought you to Beaumont, I wouldn't take you to the place everyone goes. I would take you to John's Seafood. It's not on. I took you to John's Seafood.
Or he would tell you to go to Beaumont in general if you went to Texas. People go to Houston, but he would say, check out Beaumont. And I had the opportunity to spend a month there during the pandemic, and a lot of time in Houston because we go back often. But Beaumont was something special. It's like really kind of small, so pretty much knew each other, and it was an interesting experience.
Yeah, intimate.
Yeah, that's why I told you take any point, any place on the map and go there. Why? Because if I tell you, go to, I don't know, to Massif Central, the place where Lafayette was born before he went to the US, or if I take, I don't know, La Rochelle, the place where Cavalier de la Salle left to go and discover Louisiana, or if I tell you that, then the people will resent me. Because there will be crowds, not because of me, but if you name precise places, everybody will go there. Actually, the best thing is to go in a place where nobody recommended, because you will find beautiful places, and it will be your choice. It will be your discovery, your treasure, and that's the best way to visit France.
Where are you originally from?
Actually, I grew up in the Caribbean.
Okay.
Then I lived in the Loire Valley, not so far from the Château de Chambord, Castle of Chambord, and others, in Orléans, the place where Jeanne d'Arc is coming from, Joan of Arc, and then to Paris for college.
Okay.
And then actually I spent almost half of my time, maybe even more, overseas because of my diplomatic career.
Okay.
We didn't talk about France in the US, but you know we are organizing many things with the embassy, and there is also an incredible place in New York, which is called Villa Albertine. So we talked a lot about culture. I could not, we could not end this interview without speaking about the Villa Albertine, which is the French cultural center, and which is based, the headquarters are in New York, in the Fifth Avenue. It's a wonderful place. So if you want to discover France, and you are American, maybe start with the Villa Albertine in New York before going to France.
So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, we would love to
Picture.
visit.
Yeah,
It's an incredible place, an old building. They have an incredible library. They organize many activities around cooperation between France and the US. We have also people from the Villa Albertine. Their headquarters is in New York. It's linked to the embassy. We have also people from Villa Albertine also in the embassy here in DC. They are in charge of all the cooperation in terms of language, cultural cooperation, and they organize exhibitions. They have artists coming, and it's a great place also to visit in New York.
And I know as Americans, we like to take things like, oh, we created it, we've done it. I'm with the team. But we have to take a seat back sometimes and understand that we share a world.
Exactly.
Yeah. All our
Exactly.
languages, food, spices, all these different things have come together. And as long as we stick together, we can make beautiful things.
Exactly. And we are complementary.
Yes.
Because we are different. And I mean, it's great. I mean, you have an ability also to promote things and to create a value add,
Right.
which is amazing. And sometimes things come from Europe, goes to the US, go back to Europe, go back to the US. It's a constant, way to complement each other and to enrich each other, and that's amazing. That's a never-ending story.
Yeah, like we created rap, and I'm really liking French rap now. French rap, the French accent on rap, it sounds amazing, like trap French rap.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I know. I've been hearing it. Thank you so much
Yes,
for your time.
thank you so much.
This was a great interview.
Thank you.
Love talking to you.